When you're ready. Good evening. Welcome to the in-person and virtual meeting of the Planning Development Advisory Committee of January the 9th. There will be three consents for the advisory committee to comment on. Please note that the meeting is video and audio recorded, and all electronic means are uploaded to the municipality's YouTube page. By registering to participate in the meeting by electronic means, you're consenting to have your likeness and comments recorded and posted on YouTube. So we'll start with the roll call. Chris Picard.
Present.
Paul Sedgwick.
Present.
Jeffrey Bourne.
Present.
I, Councilor Johnson Poulos, present as well. Also in attendance, we have our Secretary Treasurer Lynn Banks to my right, and to her right, Communications and Committee Coordinator Laura Emery. And then we have to the right, to the left rather, the county planner, Asabi Shahab, and at the end, we have our township planner, Nabul Safawala. Okay, so I've done a roll call. Now let's have a few seconds of a moment of reflection. Okay, thank you. Let's move on to item number 4, confirmation agenda. Jim, can you read the resolution, please?
That the committee approves the January 9th, 2024 agenda as circulated.
Take Mayor mover and second, moved by Chris, seconded by Paul. All in favor? Thank you. Number 5, do we have the disclosure of pecuniary interest? Anybody has any pecuniary interest?
No.
None? Okay, delegations, so we have none. Consent agenda. Approval of minutes, kind of a resolution, Lynn.
That the Planning and Development Advisory Committee approves the minutes from the meeting held on November 14th, 2023.
A mover and a seconder, Jeffrey, seconded by Paul. All in favor? Thank you. No other consent items. And, let's move into the actual land division. So please note that the committee's mandate is only to provide comments to the county's land division committee when it considers any one of these service applications for approval. And we'll start with having Laura have the agent or applicant join the panelists. I guess Jeff's here, so we don't have to. Hey, Jeff,
Hi,
please state your name for the record.
sure. Jeff Eastman from Van Herten Surveying. I'm here for,
So we'll start with the 9.11 severance application. B110-22, Robert Knight, have a resolution on.
right, okay. Mr. Land is here with his son, so they're the property owners. Do we want to just maybe present it on the screen, if that's
Sure, yeah,
pretty
we'll do
simple?
that, yeah.
Just one moment. Does
Well, that's good, right there.
that work?
Yeah, it's perfect. So this is on Forest Hill Road, and this application has been initiated quite some time ago, but it was deferred. So in the request to have the study for the potential aggregate activity across the road, it took some time to get the right consultant for it. We found a consultant, and that has been done. And that study has been satisfactorily met by the township. And so we're ready to move forward with this severance application. Just to review it, it's on Forest Hill Road. It's worked out well that we've kept the 120-meter minimum for the retain, so that this will have the minimum frontage for this parcel, for the retained parcel. We figured out that the MBS requirements have been met, and the property is configured quite nicely to be kind of a mirror image of, well, at the same depth as this one, but not quite as wide. I think it's a straightforward application, follows all the criteria of a secondary ag severance. And I'm here for any questions or comments the committee may have.
Okay, Lynn, were there any registrants, request to speak to this?
No, Mr. Chair, there were none.
Thank you. Any, written comments this evening?
We circulated the application supporting documents for building, bylaw, fire and public works departments, and they had, all of them had no comments or concerns.
Okay, and, this is to any attendees watching the hearing, they would like to give comments or questions regarding this application. I'm advising that these comments can be heard at the Land Division Committee when this comes forward. So do we have a date for the Land Division Committee?
It's 8th of February.
8th of February, thank you. Okay, so let's go around the table and see if any of the members have any questions or comments. Okay, Chris, with you?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Paul?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay,
Nothing from me.
and I'm good as well. So, Lynn, can you just go over the comments that the county has put, staff rather, the township has put together for this application?
The township's conditions,
Yes, please.
that the owner satisfy the requirements of the township, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full and consent review and condition clearance fee. That safe access to the proposed severed lines can be accommodated to the satisfaction of the township. Number 3 is that the owner implement the recommendations of the noise study prepared by SLR Consulting Canada Limited dated May 25th, 2023, as well as recommendations in the township's peer review by Val Acoustics Canada Limited dated August 15th, 2023, to the satisfaction of the township. And that the owner enter into a development agreement with the township for the purpose of recovery of the township's third-party costs in relation to any of the township's conditions. And that's it,
Okay, for the resolution.
certainly. The resolution reads that the committee supports Simmons application B 110-22, subject to the conditions as just noted.
Okay, I have a mover and seconder. Moved by Paul, seconded by Chris, all in favor? Thank you. So this application is subject to a 20-day appeal period. Okay, let's move on to the next one, 9.12, application B 102-23, also known as B10, Lisa and Terrence McDonald, part lot 23, concession Gore, municipally known as 7094 Gore Road, Township of Pusluch. Proposed severance is 29 hectares with 18-meter frontage, vacant land for proposed rural residential use for the existing field, driveway and hydro line, together with a proposed hydro easement over severed parcel in favor of the retained. Retained parcel of 1.6 hectares with 10-meter frontage, existing and proposed rural residential use with existing dwelling and cell towers. Okay, I assume that, Jeffrey, this is yours?
Yes,
Okay, please,
thank you. It's great. So this application, this is an L-shaped parcel now. It's quite large and there's a lot of empty space here. And the owners, the couple in the back, want to trade a lot for their son, the couple here in the front. And this works out to be a great spot. When I got there, I was quite impressed with how much room we have for the site. Currently, right now, this property has a shared driveway with this property on the left. And they have a shared easement, and that's been formally established quite some time ago. In this case, we're going to propose a new entrance fairly close to this hydro pole, and this looks better here. The details of the front, in that the entrance will be 2.5 meters clear of the hydro pole, and then the idea is that to take advantage of this existing drive. So what happens now is that this shared entrance comes in, and both properties are serviced by it. Just after you get in, there's a gate on the right. And there's this another driveway, and that driveway basically functions to get to these cell towers for the occasional maintenance and checking on these cell towers. The idea is that this same driveway, we use this driveway also for this severance. A little more efficient that way, and also gives a little more separation to this parcel here. The other step in all of this is that the hydro line here is going to be, because the hydro services this, the severed parcel, which includes the big piece, will be subject to an easement for hydro to service this house. So protecting the hydro service that's at that property now. which makes sense. A minor variance will be required for frontage for both parcels, because both need to be at least 25 meters. And, we've seen many of these flag shaped parcels in the township before. Parcel is still quite large, 0.9 of a hectare, that's over 2 acres, so there's lots of room there. We did look at a bit further in terms of the cell towers. The owner has taken a look at the agreements, and there's nothing in there that says it shall be in minimum distance from the tower. We know that it's quite a practical distance to clear the space of the tower. The zoning bylaw speaks nothing about minimum side yards to towers. It just recognizes cell towers are permitted. Well, of course, they exist already, and they are permitted under the zoning bylaw already. Probably one of the first things after I visited the site was I contacted the road superintendent to say, will you be satisfied with the entrance arrangement that we're proposing here? And he was. So that, to me, we wouldn't have submitted the application if he wasn't. So I feel like we've addressed all the requirements. It's a secondary ag parcel. They've had the ownership for greater than 5 years. And there's not been a severance since the time of March 2005. So it meets all the basic criteria of the secondary ag severance. So if there's any questions or comments, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, so, Linda, were there any agency comments received?
Not from agencies, but we did have some comments from the township departments.
Sure.
The bylaw department had no concerns. The township's fire services department said they had no concerns with the proposal, except to remind the applicant to remember to keep the existing and future trees and tree limbs far enough back from the driveway laneway to ensure that the emergency vehicles can use the laneway should an emergency occur. And they also note that their fire trucks require 5 meters clearing height above the roadway to ensure the trucks can use the laneway without being stopped or damaged by trees or limbs. And I can confirm that we do have safe access confirmation inspection done by Mr. Fowler from our Public Works Department.
Then were there any registrants who requested to speak?
No, Mr. Chair, there were,
And, any written comments from the public?
no, Mr. Chair, there were not.
Great. Okay, and again, I'll reiterate, if any attendees watching this hearing would like to give comments or questions, please, be advised that the comments can be heard at the, public meeting, the Land Division Committee scheduled for February 8th. The meeting, the Land Division Committee meeting is February 9th?
February
8th, okay, I was right first, okay. All right, so let's go, around the table. Chris?
One question, Jeff. Are there any concerns about EM radiation and the new residents being closer to the cell tower than current?
We did not evaluate that at all. Okay, so that's something that I've never handle hundreds of severances. The first time been asked that question. So EMR radiation, I have no idea on that. I should mention, we have taken the step of notifying both cellular tower providers to tell them that this is happening in case then they should flag that, I would think. That'd be their job.
You would think,
You
but
would think.
it
Okay,
still might be prudent to. inquire.
Okay,
Just to keep people safe.
well, that's a good question. We'll look into EMR radiation.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just to make
thanks.
sure there aren't any. That was it for me. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Paul?
I'm just looking, John, can you confirm the frontage on the driveways? So I see an 18.
So
They're gonna come for a minor variance on them. I'm just curious, like what the.
So the parcel is gonna be 18 meters wide, if you.
At the front.
Okay,
That's
at the
divided
front.
between 2 driveways.
Pardon me?
So that's 18 meters divided, and there's gonna be 2 driveways part of that.
No, there's gonna be one driveway.
Yeah,
Okay, there's gonna be one driveway in that 18-meter strip.
okay,
The retained is 10 meters wide.
okay,
Of the retained, on the very left side, say 2 meters wide here, is the portion of the driveway they share with the other one. So say 2 meters on the outside of the property.
okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah. So that's one, I just had a question on that, and then the second was just around the hydro line, and we can talk about that even ourselves, but I guess just a comment on that, like, there's trees close by, and I've seen this myself personally. It being a nuisance, just if there's a property change and ownership around these types of things, who manages those trees around it, if there's access to the line. Is there any feedback on that part, on the hydro line and how it's gonna be maintained?
I haven't looked at, we haven't developed a wording of the easement, but the easement would be written in such a way to grant access for servicing, clearance, that kind of thing. And repair, let's say a line had to be replaced, trees had to be trimmed. In this case, we have the advantage of the driveway is right beside it, so it's the least easy to get to. The other thing is that, you know, the reality is they'll probably put a pole here, for example,
Yeah.
to go and service the new house. They both have a vested interest in keeping that hydro line operating and well for both parties. So not only do they have a vested interest, but I'd say the easement documentation will take care of that as well.
Okay, that's all I got.
Jeffrey?
Paul has covered the two questions I had as well. Just the width of the access is obviously, you know, it's a.
Yep.
It's tight and it'll require minor variance, but, and the hydro, I have a similar situation on my property and it's has to be dealt with, that's for sure.
Jeffrey, my question is with respect to the hydro easement. Well, why wasn't it attached to the retained parcel? Why is it with the separate parcel?
The main reason is we wanted to take advantage of that existing driveway that's there for this parcel. So the driveway, which, you know, will function, you know, primarily function to help this property. We wanted that to be part of the separate parcel so that the owner owns the driveway.
Well, the way I look at the numbers, you have 9.5 meters there. That's to service the separate parcel.
The separate parcel is gonna be 18 at the front.
Okay, I'm saying if the hydro, the 8.5 that has the hydro easement is back, with the retained parcel, then the separate parcel will have their own 9.5 meter driveway. So my concern is, similar to what Paul's saying, somebody's got to be responsible for that. I agree with you, there is a issue, who maintains it. Right now, it's currently servicing the, property toward the back. My inclination is to suggest that stay, with the retained parcel. I don't see the reason here. I understand the lot is for the family, but somebody may be selling a lot, or the property sometime in the future, and, whether it's retained or severed, and we have to make sure that, it's, clear. Sure, go ahead, please clarify.
I'm sure Jeff knows this, but the easement, when it's registered at the registry office, the easement agreement itself will have dominant and servient land. So the agreement will spell out the dominant lands will be the easement, the servient lands, if I'm correct, will be the retained.
Hang on, the servant, I always use the word servient is the servant.
Yeah, so
Right.
that's the original parcel.
So
and
the
then-
servant in this case is the severed parcel.
So it will spell out
It'll-
who's responsible for maintenance, who's responsible for trimming trees,
Okay, are you saying that the servient will be responsible for trimming the trees in this particular instance?
It depends on how the wording is in the actual, because there'll be a registration document, and then there'll be the easement agreement behind it as a schedule page, and that's what spells out dominant and servient land. So that will be up to, Van Harten's lawyer or title searcher.
It'll be the lawyer that writes the document, and then you're right. The dominant lands will be the retained parcel. They're the ones that are gonna have the benefit of the easement on the servient lands. And that will spell out the costs, whether they decide to say cost shall be 50-50 on all costs related to it. You know, that's up to the, you know, the two parties to agree on how we're gonna word this easement. But I think it's crucial that the easement be part of that, be worded and be part of this whole severance to make it happen. I see the benefit of using the existing driveway is, you know, it exists already. It provides better separation relative to this property. I think this property would appreciate having the use of the existing driveway rather than in the narrow 9.5 meter strip there. So, yeah, just to go back to the easement documentation, it'd be written, and the two parties would have to agree to the terms of it and registered on title, and they live by it, and it should work just fine.
And it will stay on title unless the easement is ever abandoned, then it would be, they do an application to remove it, but.
Yeah.
It's on there in perpetuity.
Paul, you want to make a comment?
So there's a row of trees by the driveway, and then there's the hydro line, so
Okay.
who would own the row of trees then? Cause it's set up as a privacy barrier from what I see.
This row of trees kind of
Yeah.
in here.
Who would own that then? after
Well,
it's
most of the trees would be owned by the retained parcel. Because the trees are hugging that existing
So they
driveway.
don't fall into that easement,
No,
so the easement's clear from
the
trees.
easement would be
Okay.
clear, like the easement would be clear, because we're planning to put this easement right centered on that driveway. So it incorporates a driveway which is clear cut already, right? And the hydro line, and I respect there's probably trees at the front that could use trimming every once in a while for that hydro line. I don't remember that detail. But that would be done, if it's in the road allowance, those trees, the hydro utility should do it. If it's within the property, I imagine it's the responsibility of those getting the benefit of the hydro line. Does that,
Yeah, no, the reason I asked that is because if there's, and we've seen this where if there's trees actually within that easement, because a lot of times there's a hydro line and they've got some sort of a bush within that easement.
right,
And then you've got a change of ownership and someone says, hey, I just want to take it all out, because I don't want to keep spending and maintaining this under a hydro line. And you've got a privacy barrier there between two properties and you got a dispute right away. So
yeah,
that's
so,
what I'm trying to figure out.
so I'd say that row of trees actually, which is great, is on the left side of the easement. And it's on the left
It's
side.
very clear that it's part of
Very,
that. Yeah.
very clear that it's not part of that easement.
Thank you.
Any comments?
I think the only way to avoid the easement question would be to run two separate power lines.
That'd be,
Which-
what-
But not inconsequential.
it's not inconsequential, and again, there's just a strong preference to have this to be 18 meters wide and use that existing driveway, right? That's I think, a big factor in this.
And I understand the separation. It's just, if the easement was a real sticking point for people, it's not for me, just to be clear, the only solution is two separate lines.
Right.
A new hydro line on that narrow neck for the retained land. And the severed land gets the value of the existing hydro line.
The one challenge, and you're right, the drag is, if we were to do an additional line in this here, then that row of trees would have to be cut down, and that'd be kind of a shame.
Well, you'd also end up with two lines really close together.
Yeah,
That has its own issues.
that's right, good point.
John, can you clarify for me the proposed entrance, or the proposed entrance are gonna be taking advantage of that existing road? You mentioned that existing road is being used to service of cell towers. Is that road part of a hydro easement as well?
Yes, it's in the same strip of land, yes.
Okay, so is there any issue with that being part of the hydro easement? In other words, they'll say, we don't want anybody using this anymore?
The cell towers can also, if they needed to, can be accessed here. So let's say parents and child don't get along, okay? The cell towers, which are visited very infrequently, can be accessed this way. In fact, they mentioned to me that most of the times that they come, they just park the truck and walk there. So the cell towers can be accessed at any time still.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay, Lynn, would you want to read the conditions that we have?
Certainly. We have our standard two, that the owner satisfy the requirements of the township president, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full, consent review and condition clearance fee. The second one is safe access to the severed parcel can be accommodated to the satisfaction of the township. Third is that the owner enter into a development agreement with the township of Westland for the purpose of recovery of the township's third-party costs in relation to any of the township's conditions. And I should probably clarify that that's a new standard condition we're gonna have in our severances now in case something comes up with land division at the county, and we
Sure.
have to do a study and have a peer review that gives us the ability
No.
have our third-party consultant fees covered.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
The fourth one will be that the owner obtains zoning compliance for both retained and the severed parcels to the satisfaction of the township. And that the owner enter into an easement agreement for the hydro pole located on the severed parcel in favor of the retained, and that the easement agreement be registered on title both parcels to the satisfaction of the township.
Okay, great. Lynn, would you please, read the, motion?
Certainly, that the committee supports severance application D 102-23, subject to the aforementioned conditions.
Okay, mover and seconder, moved by Chris, second by Jeffrey, all in favor? Okay, subject to 20-day appeal period.
Thanks.
All right, so let's move into the, next one, 9.1.3. Severance application B 35/23, MCQs, Beverly McQueen, part lot 32 from section 8 on 17th Street, Marston, NOV 260. Proposed lot line adjustment is 4,980 square meters for 60-meter frontage, existing and proposed urban residential use with existing dwelling. So Lynn, I was wondering if you can give us a background before we start into this on this has come back a second time.
And certainly, Mr. Chair, so I believe it was in June of last year, the original consent application was brought to the Township PDAC Committee for review and comment. The township had requested that it be deferred until 3 of the draft conditions that it was recommending be dealt with. One of them was that a noise study be done and peer reviewed to the satisfaction of the township. Another was that the owner enter into a development agreement with the township so that third-party cost recovery. And I'm sorry, I just lost the third. The other conditions. Oh, and the other one was that this, thank you, be moved over onto the retained parcel because I believe it was straddling the lot line for the proposed lot line for the proposed severed and retained parcels. Those conditions have been addressed, and now the owner is bringing the application forward again for the township to provide comment.
Okay, great, thank you. So do we have the owner applicant available online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, Brandon is here.
Okay, so would you please bring him on board and put a drawing up, and we'll ask Brendan to introduce himself and give us a presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. It appears as though I'm not able to turn my camera on, but I am here. The host has disabled it, I believe it says. But anyways,
Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
certainly. My name is Brandon Flewelling, and I'm the agent for the property owner. I'm with GSP Group based out of Kitchener.
Great. Okay, please, presentation, thank you.
Thank you. So as noted, this is an application that was previously in front of the committee and was ultimately deferred pending entering into a development agreement, as well as a better understanding of the septic system and the soils of the retained property and the severed property to ensure that the retained parcel, which is approximately 2,700 square meters, 2,716 to be exact, which is undersized from the standard zoning regulations. So we completed a hydrogeological study to understand that the soils in the area would be appropriate to accommodate a septic on a parcel of this size. And this is not uncommon in the area. There's other newer developments with lot areas of this size or smaller. So we went away since the last time we were at the committee, entered into a development agreement, completed a hydrogeological study, and have now brought the application back. Two questions that were raised prior to the meeting were, one was, what about the lot area? Why is it sized the way it is? That's for two reasons. One, it's to accommodate the existing building in a lot size that's, generally regularly shaped and suitable in size to accommodate private well and septic system. And then also that the lot that's being severed is a lot addition to the adjacent land to the northwest, and it's subject to its own applications, but it is subject to a future plan of subdivision application. And this worked out for the sort of an efficient layout of that future plan of subdivision application as well. So the application is twofold. And again, I think I want to make sure that we're not discussing the future plan of subdivision application, but it is of relevance to the severance in that it did help to confirm or support the final size and shape of the retained parcel. So there was that question. And then the other question was just specifically about the MTO access, and MTO have confirmed that they are satisfied with the existing driveway to this property, but no new accesses to the highway would be permitted. So the land to be severed will need to take access from the land that is going to be added to as a lot addition. So there will be no new highway access created as a result of this severance application. So I suppose that's the high level overview. Again, this is an application that was previously in front of the committee, and we were instructed to go away and come back and do some homework and enter into a development agreement and so on. And that's what we've done. So we're here to answer any questions that you might have with the application as it stands in front of you now.
Good, thank you. Len, were there any agency comments received?
Nothing from agencies, but township departments had no concerns.
Okay, great. And were there any registrants who requested to speak? Len?
No, Mr. Chair, there were not.
And any written comments from the public?
No, Mr. Chair, we did not receive any.
Okay, and again, I'd like to reiterate that if there are any attendees watching the hearing would like to give comments or ask questions regarding application and discussion, please be advised that comments can be heard at the public meeting scheduled for February the 8th. This is at the County Land Division Committee meeting. Okay, so let's go around the table. Start with you, Chris.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Paul,
Oh, nothing for me, thank you.
Stephanie,
No, I'm good, thanks.
and I have no comments as well. So then would you please read over the conditions and
Certainly. The township standard conditions that the owner satisfy all the requirements of the township, financial and otherwise, including taxes paid in full and the consent review and condition clearance fee, that the existing accessory structures located on both retained and severed parcels be removed to the satisfaction of the township, that the existing septic system be relocated to within the limits of the retained parcel, that the owner implement the recommendations of the hydrogeological investigation prepared by Chung and Vanderdolen Engineering Limited and dated August 28th, 2023, as well as recommendations in the township's peer review by Hardin Environmental Services Limited dated November 3rd, 2023, to the satisfaction of the township, that the owner enter into an agreement related to the relocation of the existing septic system within the limits of the retained parcel, that the owner enter into a development agreement with the township for the purpose of recovery of the township's third-party costs in relation to any of the township's conditions, that the owner obtains zoning compliance for both the retained and severed parcels to the satisfaction of the township, and that the owner provide confirmation to the township that there is approved access to the retained parcel.
okay, great. So any questions on the conditions? No? Okay, great. So then would you read the resolution?
Certainly, that the committee supports severance application B 35-23, subject to the aforementioned conditions.
Okay, mover and seconder, moved by Paul, seconded by Jeffrey, all in favor? Thank you. Okay, so let's carry on with the agenda. So, thank you, Brendan. And as you know, it's subject to a 20-day appeal period.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Okay, 9.2 zoning bylaw amendment application. I have none. No correspondence, new business. Does anyone have any new business like to raise? No. No, just no. Okay, and have a resolution then.
Certainly, that the Planning and Development Advisory Committee hereby adjourns at 7:33 p.m.
Okay, mover, first, second by Jeffrey, all in favor? Thank you.